All right, House of Pain fans, we're here to talk about season 13, episode 19, and I I don't really know how to feel about this episode. House of Cards, which is a reference to, I believe, a TV show. I think it was an online series or something. Was it a Netflix show? I don't know. I remember hearing about it in college, but this was well a long time ago. Now, I I want to need y'all to kind of chime in the comments because I actually went back to rewatch the scene when Laura got into the kitchen and saw um, Miranda and Ella making the cinnamon rolls and whatnot. Now, I'm just sitting here trying to figure things out in terms of this wedding tasting. So, based on Laura's dialogue and Ella's reaction, Laura had invited her to this tasting in advance, and Ella was excited to go. And Ella was asking when was it, and she's like this afternoon. So the question that I don't believe got answered, at least to me, because like I said, maybe I misinterpreted the scene, because when I watched the episode, I did watch it at double speed. But even at double speed, I can pick up on the words. But when I went back to rewatch the Laura scenes, I watched at regular speed, and then I realized, no, I didn't miss anything. So I don't believe it was ever confirmed that Laura informed Ella beforehand of when the wedding tasting was. She did agree to go. She apparently didn't know when it was happening. So I don't, like I said, that's really going to impact how I score the episode. I'm going to give this one an 8 question mark. I'm going to give it an 8 question mark. If that doesn't make any sense, that means like the score is subject to change. But let's be real, I'm not going to go back and change the score. You watch it to review and then you move on to the next thing. But yeah, so that's really threw me off. But you know what? Let me save the Laura stuff for last because it gets pretty messy pretty fast. Let me talk about the Jasmine stuff because this won't take too long at all. But before moving forward, please take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit subscribe and hit that bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. So, Jasmine is... Wow, feels weird to say that name. Thinking about sisters. Okay, I'm sorry. But no, Jasmine is hanging out with Malik and Melissa because Lisa was actually acknowledged, so it was good to hear that, hey, we still remember she exists. I think she was at the DMV, something about a new registration. What was it, like vehicle registration or a new license, something like that. And Malik has to watch the baby. So apparently he's there to help Jasmine with a project for school. It's some sort of like a interview for broadcast journalism. And Malik's like, wait, what are you doing broadcast journalism for? Like, turns out she's changing her major again. And there's like a little funny back and forth about Malik cussing. It's like, don't cuss in front of my niece. Like, what hell was in the Bible? Ass is in the Bible. Like, what's this? He's like, look, let me get you away from Salem Mouth Daddy. I don't know why. That just reminded me of Avengers Infinity War. It's like Tony says the S word, and then Steve is like, language. I don't know. That was pretty funny. Just siblings, dad and aunt. But in the midst of their conversation, because Jasmine's like, don't tell mom and dad. And then CJ's like, don't tell them what. And Malik is about to say something. Then Jasmine's like, stitches get snitches. So then CJ automatically assumes Jasmine is pregnant. Janine comes in. And then CJ just, amps up everything. And then Janine starts freaking out. Only to have, Malik reveal the big secret about the major change. And she's like, damn it, Malik. Since when do you start cussing? Oops. So, again, pretty fun scene. Now, I want to be completely honest here. As someone who was a college student, college graduate, former student, obviously you got to be a student who graduate, right? I completely understand CJ's freak out. Especially when we learn later in the episode that Jasmine is in her 3rd year of college. Because, when she mentions broadcast journalism, it's like, what about architecture or sociology? And like 2 years ago, that was a good a major for you to do, like, what's up, what's going on. And then later on, when her professor stops by the house, what's her name, Professor Davidson, that's when we learn she's a third year student. This is just downright ridiculous. Look, it is not a bad thing for a student to change their major. I changed mine, but I was after the first semester. I was like computer engineering, and I changed to communications. I just felt like, for me, computer engineering, while, let's be real, a lot of money in it, it's just that my heart wasn't in it. So, and I can't remember what grade I had, but I got a B or an A in that introductory class. I forgot what I got, but I did. I went to the School of Engineering, explained my situation, and they were like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, maybe this isn't for you, but we looked at your grades and everything, you're good. But if it isn't where your heart is, you got to do what you got to do. And that's why I went into communications. And the thing about that was, I went into college. I already had 2 years of college credit under my belt from transfer credits, because in high school we had CL, which they changed it to AP classes right as I was about to finish up my senior year. So yeah, it wasn't that big a deal for me to change majors, because number one, it was just my first semester. I only took one class in relation to the engineering degree. So when I swapped to communications, it was a pretty clean change. But no, Jasmine has allegedly changed her major like 4 different times now. And it's funny because, well, it's not funny, but looking at the situation, Jasmine is kind of the opposite of Calvin, where both seem to have extended college careers, but Calvin mainly because he kept flunking classes and it took him a long time to graduate. And Jasmine might take, longer to graduate because she keeps changing her major. Now, it would be one thing for her to like, okay, I'm going to get a bachelor's in this, and Dad, I was so intrigued that I want to do a master's degree. That's different, because it's like you earned one degree, so you have something to show for the years that you put into school, plus the tuition that, your parents paid. And if you want to advance in something else, like, your parents could either agree to help out or be like, okay, Jasmine, look, we paid your way through bachelor's, so if you want to do masters, you might want to either find a job or something. Like, if you want to pursue a master's at your school, and this is pretty common practice at a lot of colleges, that if you work at the school, usually in like a department of like, okay, you want to do sociology, well, work in that particular office of sociology as like a teacher assistant or whatever, then they pay for your master's tuition. That's perfect. That way, she's working and she's getting free tuition. But no, she just keeps flip-flopping between, oh, I was inspired by a documentary. No, that's not good enough. Like, you need to finish up something, and then once you do that, then you can like go on and do something else. So I was team CJ on this one. And you got Janine and Malik trying to like calm him down. But Malik is being real in terms of like, it's going to be 2026 before she graduates, which is kind of interesting, because if she is a third year student, then her fourth year would mean she would graduate next year. So technically she will be done in 4 years. But as someone who has experience, yeah, she must have a lot of credits that would roll over or something. I don't know why she doesn't like do a major in something and minor in something else. That's definitely possible as well. But I remember way back when she wanted to initially quit school, I said that she's the kind of person who should get what we had at Liberty called the interdisciplinary studies degree. Essentially, I called it the Build-A-Bear workshop of college degrees, where you talk with an advisor from that particular department, and they can like Frankenstein a bunch of classes together. That way, once you reach a certain threshold of credits, you can graduate with that degree. That means that you didn't specialize in one thing, but you're skilled in a bunch of things. But at the end of the day, you still have a degree to show for it. That would be the perfect thing for someone like Jasmine. But she really needs to figure things out, because, like I said, it's not that she's a bad student, but if she isn't able to like figure things out, like I said, it's not her that's paying the price, it's her parents. So, and then keep in mind, they have what are the dang, Hayden and Jaden. Like, Jasmine, you talking about you're going, you'll probably be in college still, not even decided on a major before your younger brother and sister make it to school. Like, they'll be going into their first semester of college, and then you'll be in like your 10th year because you still haven't figured things out. Now, when she's giving an interview with Malik, she's talking about how, okay, this video is about, a strong black family in today's, community. And Malik's like, okay, we'll talk. Well, that's not how journalism works in an interview. It's like, sure, you can mention like this interview is about blank, but you have to ask questions to the person being interviewed. And that is true, because I've interviewed people here on the channel. You've been in job interviews. It's like the person that's conducting the interview at a job, they don't just sit there and go, tell us why we should hire you. I mean, yeah, they say that, but they also give you information. Sure, there's a job listing. So you as a potential candidate, you look over the listing, see if you're a good fit. You put on your Sunday best, got your resume together, figure out exactly what you want to say, and then you go in there for it. And it's not just a one-sided conversation. So Jasmine, yeah, journalism looks cool, but like, you don't have the skills to do it. That's not to say you can't, get those skills, but nah, no. Because I remember a few seasons ago when she wanted to quit college, and and CJ was freaking out about, no, you're going to go back to college. You're going to finish school. And that's the thing. Jasmine, just do a degree in something. And I don't mean just half-ass it, because, again, I don't think she would. But she needs to, like, just pick one major, finish up that degree, and then whatever she wants to do after that, she does after that. Because this is downright ridiculous. So she gets mad when Malik, rightfully is like, look, you got to ask me questions. Well, I guess I suck at this. I didn't say I did. What? I didn't say you did. And then she just storms off. So then the professor comes by because she's doing a check-in on all of her students to see how their projects are going. And then Jasmine mentions how, this probably isn't the best fit for her. And the professor encourages her by saying, like, look, I did an art degree, but I'm not doing art now because, I eventually went backpacking through Europe with a friend. Which is kind of interesting because the male professor that Jasmine had that, in her mind inspired her to leave school, he was like a freelance photographer and whatnot, traveling around the world and everything. So for me, it's kind of interesting because I thought that the professor's story would parallel everything that Jasmine has gone through. But no, Jasmine learns, like, after some time, she eventually went back to get another degree. And then she started a media company. Did time, in broadcasting, and now she's a professor. And she's like, look, for all I know, I probably got another career in me somewhere down the line. So you don't have to figure things out right now. Even though she didn't say it, she should have just said, just finish this one, degree and whatever, and go on about your life. So yeah, Jasmine needs to figure this stuff out. So here we are, 13 minutes in, and now we need to talk about the big stuff. Like I said, I don't really know the scheduling here, but let's talk about it. So Laura comes over to Curtis and Ella's house. She has a brief exchange with Curtis, who, playfully messes up her name. Because I think, Curtis does know the names of all the people he purposely messes up their name. But that's just who he is. He's watching the game, doesn't want to be distracted. And then Laura's like, oh, that's where Calvin gets it from. Yep. So she goes into the kitchen and she's like, oh, Miranda, as in, yep, I didn't expect to see you here. And it's about the bake-off at Christian school. Ella's teaching Miranda how to make her, special cinnamon rolls. Now, Laura wanted Ella to go to this tasting, and she agreed to it. It's like, oh, baby, well, yeah, I'd love to go. I'll go if you want me to. Yeah, that's what we agreed to. And that's the thing. Like I said, I'm missing some context here. I don't know if it had already been scheduled on this particular day. I don't know if Ella was double booked or it slipped her mind and this Christian thing, kind of, took priority. I don't know. But either way, Laura definitely felt like a third wheel in the kitchen. What she was saying was kind of like, going in one ear and out the other, due to the fact that she was so involved with the cinnamon roll thing with Miranda. So she ended up leaving because, when she's like, oh, baby, I can't go this afternoon, but what about tomorrow? Then Miranda's like, no, I can't go tomorrow. Oh, Thursday? Yeah, Thursday's perfect. So, yeah, Laura, feeling like an afterthought, just left, and Curtis is like, something wrong? No, I'm good. And then she just leaves. And Curtis is like, okay, back to this game. So then she goes over to the condo to talk to Calvin about the Ella thing. It's like, look, I need you to listen with an open mind. Okay, it's about your mama. What about my mama? She making cinnamon rolls with Miranda. Ooh, she making cinnamon rolls? Calvin, stay on point. Now, why was she teaching that to Miranda instead of me? And then Calvin rightfully said, did you ask my mom? No, I shouldn't have to ask. Okay, you're doing too much. It's like, when Calvin says, well, look, you need to talk to my mom. You're taking her side. Yeah, at this point, I'm like, Lord, you doing too damn much. Like, no, you better, like, look, if I were Calvin, like, look, you ain't going to talk about my mom like that. If you want to be upset, don't be upset with my mom unless you talk to her. Like, if it was a situation where she had already agreed to go to this tasting, but you already talked about the day, something you didn't just spring up on her, then yeah, okay, I'll have to talk to my mom. I don't like to be in the middle of things, but I'd be like, Mom, did you promise Laura that you would go on this particular day? And then, like, did it slip your mind or something about that bake-off? Then yeah, but for you to just assume you stop on by whenever, pick up Miss Ella, and then you go about your tasting, and you see she's in the middle of something, then you're getting butthurt over nothing. Like, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Laura needs to realize that marrying Calvin comes with a lot. It's like, there's something going on with your mom and your baby mama. Okay, my mom and who? Tracy? No, your other baby mama. Oh, Miranda. See what I mean? There's like, marrying Calvin comes with a lot. Like, you're not going to be necessarily first choice. It's more like you got to get in line. And like I was talking with somebody earlier, even if Janine had never remarried CJ, Miss Ella would still have a humongous bond with her because she's the mother of her great nieces and nephew. And when I think about Miranda, yeah, there's a bond there regardless, not just because of Christian being, her grandchild, but the fact that her and Miranda got really close over, the time she was married to her son. So Laura needs to realize that this whole just assuming things will happen in your favor just because, you're about to marry Calvin. Sad to say, but that's not how it's going to work. I mean, Calvin comes with a lot of baggage, and if you can't accept that, then there's really no need for you two to be married whatsoever. That's really what I'm saying about it. So she wants Curtis to talk to Ella for her, but he's like, no, I mean, you need to talk to her. You know what, Calvin? I'm tired. Just don't get married to him. Like I said earlier, I felt bad for Laura, but then listening to her vent, it's just like, no. Because I did see that they had a sneak peek, because my sleeping pattern has been all over the place. So I'll sleep like from 5 p.m. to like midnight or something, and then be up all night, then all morning, sleep in the afternoon, then I'll pass out. But if I had done a video about the sneak peek of Laura in the kitchen, I would have been team Laura. Like, nah, this was like, I feel like Miranda probably did this on purpose. It just feels like that would be such a Miranda move to do. Like she probably knew about this wedding tasting in advance. It's like, oh, Miss Ella, Christian has this bake off at school, and we want to win, and we could really use your help with the cinnamon rolls. And then Ella being Ella would happily roll up those sleeves and kill in the kitchen, all the while forgetting about the wedding tasting because Miranda would just do some crap like this. But no, watching the whole episode as a whole is like crazy. So Calvin just doesn't want to be involved in this stuff, and from there, we see him go over to his parents' house, and he's like, he's there for the cinnamon rolls. So Miranda and Ella are telling Curtis about the fact that these cinnamon rolls easily won the bake-off. And Calvin comes in, and while he's headed to the kitchen, Ella's like, oh, yes, yeah, Laura, the wedding taste I'm excited for. Can you let her know, I can't wait to go to it with her. And, I'm not in this. Wait, what? Yeah, I'm not in this. And then everybody's like, what do you mean? Nothing. So he goes to the kitchen, get the cinnamon rolls. He's about to dip. And then, look, Laura's mad at you because, she came over here and then she said that you were too busy baking those cinnamon rolls with Miranda. And then Ella's like, wait, what? She mad at me? I know little Miss Thing ain't mad at me. Like, because my schedule was booked. But like I said, we really don't know the full story. All we know is that Laura mentioned the tasting before she got there. So this was something that they had already agreed to do. But it's unknown if that particular day or that particular afternoon was the day. So with Ella and the cinnamon roll thing, I want to be honest here. Given Laura's whole, I shouldn't have to ask your mom to teach me to do this or whatever. I have a feeling Laura did tell Ella in advance about the taste testing, and she agreed to go. This was something that was talked about. Now, in terms of the actual day and time, I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume no. I think that because Laura is the soon-to-be daughter-in-law, she got pissed off because Miranda, the former daughter-in-law, the ex-wife of Calvin, yet the mother of his son, or one of his sons, took priority, and she got mad about it. That's my interpretation of it, now that I talked about the entire episode out loud. So Calvin gets those cinnamon rolls and dips because Ella's like, well, you talked to her. It's like, nope, I'm about to get out of here. And then Curtis is like, yep, I'm out. And then Miranda's like, okay, I'm out. And then Ella keeps talking to herself. And then that was pretty much the end of it. So overall, I think this is a theme that's going to go into the finale. Cause I think in episode, hang on a second. Let's see. Episode 22. Oh, yeah. Hang on a second. Yeah. Laura finds herself at odds with her future in-laws. So House of Love. Oh, that's the episode. Okay. Yeah, this is the season finale, episode 22. I'm guessing this is a follow-up episode because this episode was entitled House of Cards. So this episode, House of Love, is going to be follow-up. So yeah, I just feel like this is going to be one of those situations where Laura is going to have one of these discussions. Honestly, yeah, this wedding, I don't see it happening. Yeah, and also you can tell this is a follow-up episode because the back half of the synopsis for episode 22 states, Jasmine works on a journalism project that fuses generations. So, yeah, there's going to be a falling out in this finale. You can say what you want to, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.